What if spending hours a day to master anatomy is completely wrong? What if you don't need to memorize hundreds of muscles, draw thousands of figures from every angle, or study gestures every single day just to learn basic anatomy? Because no matter how many times you study anatomy, there is always that frustrating feeling that you are not fully using what you have learned. Let's be honest, we don't want to study anatomy. We just want to draw cool and believable characters. Today, I'll show you the core principles of a passive method so simple and effective, it will completely change how you study anatomy. It helps you actually draw better without getting stuck in daily grinding. What do you think? Could the real problem be that most artists separate anatomy study from their actual art? There is a huge gap between knowledge and application. Do you need detailed knowledge of real anatomy if you are going to draw stylized anime character? Not necessarily. Does this mean you don't need to study real people's anatomy anymore? Of course not. You still need the basics, but the more you overfocus on realistic anatomy, the more isolated it becomes from the art you actually love and want to create. This is why most anatomy studies fail. But how do you draw anatomy if you have never learned it and don't want to grind it the traditional way? Let me show you a passive, smarter and easier way to study anatomy. You, like most artists, already draw a character. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Every time you sketch a pose, a costume or a facial expression, you are already practicing anatomy, but not always effectively. Here is the problem. You look at a reference and focus on the overall pose or silhouette, but miss what really matters. You just copy it without really understanding why it works. It gets even harder when you try to stylize. You are not sure what can be changed, what should stay, or how far you can push it. If stylizing characters feels confusing, my free Adapt Kit breaks down the styles and includes a powerful checklist that helps you apply it. Grab it from the description. But how can you, without knowing anatomy, look at a reference like this and actually understand what's happening under the clothes? And if you can't clearly see what's hidden, how do you stylize the anatomy? Actually, you can do all of that. Instead of blindly tracing the reference, you can rebuild the pose using mannequins like this. Don't think this is a joke. When used correctly, mannequins are one of the most effective ways to study anatomy. You will never guess why. In Clip Studio Paint, you can pose the mannequin, adjust its silhouette and proportions, and instantly see the difference between realism and stylization. Okay, wait. I know these mannequins have bad anatomy, especially at the joints. Exactly, and that's why this method works. You can actually see the mistakes. Usually when something looks off, you feel it right away, even if you have never studied anatomy before. You have spent your whole life watching how real bodies move, and this helps to learn anatomy? Answer this. When does your brain remember best? When you are grinding through anatomy studies and copying references, or when you are faced with a real problem and have to fix it right away? Especially when that fix becomes part of your drawing, not just proof that you studied anatomy. So don't waste time on isolated theory. Fix real problems directly on the Mannequin. Use a source like 1010s or TB Choice books, open the right chapter and focus only the area that looks off. Refine the major muscle groups to build solid construction and a clearer silhouette for your character. You are not just fixing a mannequin, now your anatomy study is fully integrated into the art you actually want to create. Later you won't even need the mannequin. You will draw poses directly and fix them the same way. But strong anatomy alone won't save your art. Bad lighting can break even the best construction. So what are the lighting tricks top artists use to make their characters clear and powerful? I'll show you in the next video.